Welcome back to Dad as a Programmer. It's important to know the laws about computers. They tell us a few things. One, what other people and what we have to do in terms of either protecting how people use the computer or the data put in on computers. It also, to have some familiarity with the laws, gives us an idea about our rights too when we use another person's computer system. Now, of course, we should always keep the golden rule about do unto others as you should have them do unto you. However, clarifying the specific outcomes is very useful to understanding one's duties and obligations. So this is by no means a complete list, but it is a major list of the laws in the United States governing the use of computers and other computer technology. So we have the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA, that regulates the collection of information from children under 13 years old. There's the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, that protects the privacy of student educational records. And then also there's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Now that protects the privacy of medical records. Now, one of the things that you notice about these things is these records existed before computers too, but they became more complex once it became so easy to just copy and send that information to another person. There's also the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. That is basically the big law that says don't use computers for bad things. That's what malicious means. Malicious, the word mal, its Latin root means bad. So bad things. It is important for if somebody sits down and they go, well, I'm going to write a computer program that's going to cause the computer get really hot and then break, that would be a malicious act. Or if somebody goes, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a website where I'm selling cookies, but then at the very end of it, I'm not going to send them any cookies. It's a total scam. That would be fraud. So the website might work, it might take the order, it might process it, but if you intend to never ever send any cookies and just to keep that money, that would be computer fraud. There's the Electronic Communications Privacy Act. That is a law that governs specifically emails and text messages. It's also to protect people from just having the government, like the federal government, just go in and without a warrant or without a reason, just reading all your personal information. There's the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act. So if I run a computer company or I sell internet access because we all have to buy our internet access and people are doing bad things over the internet and that law enforcement goes to the internet service providers and they have a warrant and they say, hey, I need to take a look at what these people are doing. Those companies have to work hard with law enforcement to let them see what's going on that internet network. Okay, so uh, the what they will do is they put something in, right? Like if you have a pipe and the water goes through that pipe, they put something in that kind of watches what type of stuff is traveling through that pipe. There's the Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act. Now, squatting is when somebody who doesn't own a house, but there's an empty house, they decide to go to that house, break into it, and start living there. Okay? And over time, and they can do this for a long time until the owner comes by and says, hey, that's my house, get out. Well, imagine you've had a website for years, right? www.funstuff.com, right? But let's say you get busy and you forget about it. If somebody in the past, people used to like wait and wait and wait for people to not pay attention, and then they would scrab up their website using what's called a domain register. And then they would try to take over that person's stuff that they had previously done to get a personal advantage from it, whether it was something really evil or just trying to take their business. Um, that act is designed to protect people from that happening. There's the Federal Information Security Act. It was enacted in 2002, and it requires all of the really important people in the government, like the FBI or the CIA or the United States Army, the Supreme Court, to all have programs, not necessarily just computer programs, but like a set of procedures and strategies to deal with when really bad things happen to their information. So they're not caught and gone, well, I guess we just lost all of the taxpayer records in the United States. We have the Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. And what that requires is all federal websites to be able to be used by people with disabilities. So if you're blind, believe it or not, you may still need to use the computer to print up things like forms on the internet. And so blind people have special software that read those web pages to them so they know what they're on the internet for. So all federal websites have to accommodate that so that blind people can get their various paperwork, or people like that are blind.